Cardinals, Rams. Rams win it. Get in the driver's seat of that division. 13-9 final score in this one. Low scoring game, but one that the Rams will take every single time. Wide receiver Puka Nacua was the top graded player for the Rams with a 90.3 overall grade. Linebacker Omar Speights with an 82.8. Edge rusher Byron Young with a 76.9. Defensive tackle Bobby Brown with a 72.7. Guard Steve Avila with a 69.5. And then Matthew Stafford a 72.9 in this one. Arizona's top graded player is safety Jalen Thompson at 91.2. Cornerback Garrett Williams with an 86.1. Tight end Trey McBride an 85.8. Edge rusher Mac Wilson with an 83.1. Corner Max Melton with an 80.7. And then Kyler Murray in this game an 81.6 overall grade. What was your stat that told the story here, Dalton?
The Cardinals should have won this game, and this is my example of the week of not finishing drives. Look, they went 1 for 4 in the red zone. They had the touchdown early in the second half, the first drive of the second half, but the extra point was blocked, which actually ended up playing a big factor later. It'd be a lot different if it was a 3-point game than a 4-point game. So that's one error. An early turnover on downs where they had James Conner lined up at fullback on 4th and 1, a look that they have shown before this season, and the Rams were ready for it and stopped them. Kicked a field goal early in the fourth quarter, and then obviously the interception at the end of the game. I know there's been the blame game kind of flying around on did Kyler throw the ball too high? Did McBride not get his head around? Either way, what happened, and they didn't finish drives, and they wind up losing a game where they outgained the Rams by almost 140 yards, and they also had their highest graded defensive game of the season. We know it's a Cardinals defense that has obviously struggled. They've done some good things this year, but for the most part, they're not considered obviously one of the elite defenses. So when you get your best defensive game of the year, you have almost 400 yards of total offense, you should win the game, but go 1 for 4 in the red zone, and this is what happens when you don't finish drives, obviously, especially when you have 2 occasions where you came away with nothing.
Yeah, my stat that told the story is the same as yours. I think it has to be because this was really what held the Cardinals back from winning this game. So as much as I'd like to be different on these, I can't be because, like you mentioned, 1 for 4 in the red zone, and it's just sort of a culmination of the Cardinals season. Like there are times when it looks really good and there are times when it sputters. And far too inconsistent of a season, I think, for the Cardinals. And to me, that's what they really got to focus on going forward and into next year. Now, it's tough to just look at a whiteboard and say, hey, what are the areas we need to improve? Consistency. Well, obviously, you want to be consistent every year, no matter what your roster looks like, no matter what your expectations are. So it's not like it's anything new. It's not like they're going out and signing consistency in free agency. It's not like they're drafting consistency in the top 20 of the first round of this upcoming draft. That's sort of something that it's on the coaching staff, it's on the leaders of this team. But the Cardinals, like we talked about with the Jags, but I think the Cardinals are an even better football team. They've got talent. They really do. We saw that with them being 6-4 midway through the year going into the bye week, and they just have really played below the level we know they're capable of. I don't even want to call it bad. It's just below the level that we know that they're capable of down the stretch through the last 8 weeks of the season. So 7 weeks of the season, excuse me. So it's been something that is sort of disappointing to watch, but there's certainly reason to believe, in my opinion, that the best version of the Cardinals is coming up in 2025. So even though a lot of people didn't necessarily expect them to make the playoffs anyways, they're not going to make the playoffs now. It is going to be a paramount year for them to really take a next step forward and get into the postseason next season. My most impressive and most disappointing, I think it's offensive line both ways. Most impressive for me is the Rams pass blocking, 82.5 team pass blocking grade, 0 sacks allowed, only 6 pressures allowed. Now, the Cardinals defensive line, not the best in the NFL, but still, to be able to come up and play that big against a divisional opponent with so much on the line, really, really great to see from the Rams offensive line, which has been playing better as of late as they've gotten a lot of guys more healthy in this game. And then most disappointing on the other side of things, it's the Cardinals pass blocking. 63.7 pass blocking grade for the Cardinals, 3 sacks, then an added sack from Kyler Murray, which was not credited to the offensive line. It was more of a quarterback sack, which, by the way, that's a good thing to note is that, hey, not all sacks are on the offensive line. Sometimes sacks are a quarterback stat. That's why we track them a little bit differently here. So it just was not the best day for the Cardinals pass blocking unit. It could have been better. It's been a pretty ferocious young defensive line for the Rams, but opposite ends of the spectrum there with most disappointing and most impressive with the 2 offensive lines here in this game. What about you? Most impressive and most disappointing?
I'll take a guy on the Cardinals side on defense. I think one of the defensive pieces that they're going to be moving into the future with, and that's their slot corner, Garrett Williams. I think a very versatile player, can play in the slot, play some safety on early downs, can play some deep half for you, but an 85.1 coverage grade in this game. 4 tackles, also had a run stop, 2 pass breakups, got an 85 or better coverage grade in 3 of his last 6 games. I think he's one of of the guys, when you're looking at developing a team in season, you're looking for guys like this who are kind of mid-round picks who can develop into starters, and I think Williams has done that. When you look at kind of the three safety slot kind of guys that they have, Budda Baker, Garrett Williams, and Jalen Thompson, I think they got something to really build this secondary around, especially in the middle of it. They need more help on the outside at corner. They certainly need more help on the defensive line, which didn't play great in this game either. I thought Garrett Williams was really impactful. He was flying all over the field. He's a nice, versatile piece for Jonathan Gannon to work with. And my most disappointing, honestly, I don't think Matt Stafford was particularly great in this game. And you mentioned all the clean pockets, and generally that has meant that he's going to play great because he's clean. He can make all the throws, and we know what he can do, right? But 62.5 clean pocket passing grade in this game and 59.7 over the last 3 games. If they're going to win playoff games and they're going to make some sort of dark horse run here, Stafford had the great game against the Bills, one of the best games we've seen him play, and then it just has kind of shut down since then for some reason. And it looks like, and I think Cooper Kupp also been struggling a little bit lately. Nacua is obviously their number one option now, but I think Matt Stafford, he's got some things to figure out. I think the Rams are going to play the starters this week because there's still some seeding on the line, but they need a little bit better out of him, especially with the pass protection playing as well as it is.
Yeah, but Matthew Stafford's one of those quarterbacks that I'm not really worried about at all. He
figures it out when it matters too. Yeah.
I mean, he could just the snap of a finger just turn into an elite version of what we know Matthew Stafford could be. So congrats to the Los Angeles Rams, who, it was funny, they didn't clinch the NFC West with their win in this game. They had to wait a little bit for it, but due to the strength of victory tiebreaker, they did clinch the division on Sunday. So congrats to them for clinching the division. Started the season 1-4. So to clinch the division with a week left to go, what an incredible job by the Rams. I think a lot of people, when we looked at the early draft order, like 8 weeks through the season, I think a lot of people looked at the Rams and said, all right, we think that they're going to be a little bit further down. We think they're going to win a lot of football games. But to make the playoffs, still, incredible job by one of the best coaches in the NFL, in Sean McVay there, once again. You got anything else in this game?
Not in this game. Are we rolling back? Right. We rolling back to the other team in LA that made the playoffs this week?
What are we doing the Chargers game?
I think we skipped over Chargers Patriots.
Oh, did we really?
Believe so.
All right, yeah. What do you got? Let's talk about it. Yeah, Chargers Patriots. I don't think we have the top 5s for this one because we. Oh wait, no, we do. It's right here.
Don't worry. I wouldn't leave out anybody's top 5. Certainly, especially not in a playoff clinching game. You can't leave it out then.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.